Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Power of the Tribe Network and Rising Star Book Club. Well, today I have Leslie Zann on today, the author of Outrageous Achievement, Tapping into Your Limitless Potential to Create the Life You've Always Wanted. This is, again, Leslie. She's a generous leader who really stands in the transformational space. And this book gets into mindset, which is everything for when you're breaking through and standing in your power. So Leslie, welcome to the show. And oh my goodness, so good to see you.
It's so good to be with you, Maureen. Always nice to see you.
So tell us about the, book came out just in February, right? And did it say like 100,000 people that you've spoken in front of and leaders and things? And I mean, you were the stage guru, and then COVID hit and the book's out. Tell us how the pivot and what mindset did you stand in to stand forward?
Well, so a year ago when COVID started, we had been talking to a publisher and the agent, and we're getting ready to launch the book. COVID put a stop to the book, so we put the book aside. And with regards to my speaking career, I had gigs scheduled every month through the whole year of 2020. And within 2 weeks, everything was canceled. So I literally had to put the principles I teach and train on into practice, mostly how to pivot, why to pivot, the courage, the confidence, my perception of change, trusting my intuition, being willing to see things differently. And I was able to help many clients turn their live events into virtual events. I also had to become a good student. I took a lot of classes, even though I had done hundreds of Zooms before. I took classes to make sure that I was as engaging and effective for my clients as possible. And so being a good student as well, being willing to learn new things and adapt, even if you feel you're proficient, like I felt I was proficient, but I wanted to be even better. So I got a couple of new certifications from eSpeakers to be a Zoom presenter and host. So I was just willing to pivot. And I got to say, I've gone through the year, and even though I say a prayer every day to the people who have been so drastically impacted by COVID, losing their jobs, not having options, kids home, having to leave the workforce, I am forever humbled and grateful that my business continued to thrive. And I believe that empowerment message was well needed and landed well all through last year more than ever.
And so you're standing into the book with that. So it came out just when it was supposed to support others.
Well, after about 6 months, 8 months of COVID, I thought the book is just sitting here, which the whole point was to get it out to the world. So I rethought about how I want to get the book out. So I decided to self-publish the book, and we launched it on February 23rd on my birthday. And within 21 hours, it was a #1 international bestseller, 3 countries. The response has been so positive, so overwhelming. I'm so humbled and so grateful. And I just am so happy that I got out there. And again, it's a great reminder that things happen at the perfect time. You can't force these things, but that doesn't mean you give up on a dream or a vision or something you want to do, but there's timing, and we chose the right time to get it out.
Congratulations on the book. It's just an amazing book. And even a piece in the book, you talk about personal development and allowing time for personal development, which is not business development. And then speak into that a little bit, and how even in this transition, it was, again, more personal development.
Yes, I had done a lot of personal development since I was 31. I'm 61 now. So at 31, a mentor introduced me to personal development. The Power is Within You by Louise Hay was the first book I ever read. And it was just blew my mind. And that began my journey into personal development. But the only practice I did was reading. So I'm a voracious reader, and I read a lot of books. When I got a divorce 10 years ago, I took myself to a resort called Rancho La Puerta to heal on the advice of some friends. And that was the first place I discovered meditation, yoga, crystal bowls, just all these different aspects, journaling, vision work, all these different aspects of personal development. And I started becoming a student of all these different parts of the practice that I could incorporate. And it's played a major role in my life. And when I talk about personal development, to your point, I don't mean spiritual reading, even though I do spiritual reading. I don't mean books on leadership. I read lots of books on leadership. I don't mean biographies of people who have gone to the top of their game, although I love biographies. I'm talking about the type of books that are going to get you to think about you. What has to happen for that tape to start playing to where you stop, you get paralyzed, you doubt, you fear? Like, what has to happen for you to stifle your greatness? And once you become aware of these things, I believe then we can think differently, act differently, and move through the world with more courage and more confidence and really show up the way we're meant to show up.
And again, I love that we're, again, standing in your leadership and what that looks like. But I want to take this back just a little bit to 10 years ago. And you were very successful in your career, right? And then you got news. And then I want to talk about that phone call that you made to get you out of fear. Can you lean into that episode, that chapter in your life?
Yep. So I've been married for 15 years, thought I had a good marriage, had a good corporate career, thought things were good. It was my 50th birthday year. And about mid-year, I came home from a gig and discovered foot-long red hair all over the house. Now, I do not have foot-long red hair. And that was how I discovered that my husband had been having an affair and living a different life. And it turned out that it had been for quite a while. And so he looked at me and said, when I approached him, he looked at me and said, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore." I mean, it took me 2 years to be able to say that out loud to anybody. So this is 10 years ago. And 3 days later, he was gone. I was taking a walk along the bay. I live in San Diego, and I was taking a walk along the bay, and I was crying, and I was trying to figure out how the hell did I wind up here? Like at the beginning of the year, my birthday's in February. I turned 50. I was like, "Wow, look how good everything is." And I'm so grateful. And now it's 8 months later and my marriage is over. I realized how dissatisfied I was in my career and just all these things. And I'm having this conversation with myself on the bay about, when did I become a risk-averse woman? Like, I couldn't even remember doing anything risky or uncomfortable or out of my comfort zone for 25 years. And I thought, what happened to me? Like, what happened to the gymnast? What happened to the gal who would do anything? What happened to who was always first? Yes, I'll play. Who's the one that says when they let us go up in a rocket ship, I'm first in line? Like, what happened to that girl? And I started thinking, well, you know what? I'm going to do something risky. And then I had this conversation on the bay, Maureen. I thought, okay, what's the scariest thing I can think of? Well, jump out of a plane. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that because it's the scariest thing I can think of. And then I thought maybe bungee jumping, and then I don't want to hurt my back. And then I thought maybe hang gliding. And I thought I don't want to jump off a cliff on a kite. And I realized how masterful I'd become, that as soon as I thought of something, if it in any way was risky or uncomfortable, I had an immediate no. So I left the bay, went home and called Skydive San Diego. And 3 days later, I jumped out of a plane because it was the scariest thing I could think of. And that day was transformative for me. I'd have to say, if I could sum up the lesson, the perception of what's possible is on the other side of fear. I learned that day that if I'm going to step into my excitement, enthusiasm, empowerment, confidence, all the possibilities, I have to be prepared once again to move through my fears.
Okay. And wait, and I got it. So you have a quote in the book, which I thought it was fabulous, from Zig Ziglar, right? It says, fear has two meanings: forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. I mean, just, and that was the epitome of that moment and the change in your life. And you went on to then launch this new company that is like ridiculously successful. And in your first book, right, the first
Grow Rich Thinking.
Grow Rich Thinking, it was standing in vision. And that was a big piece. And then the second book is mindset, and that, because it is transformation is a journey. But within that, you said, all right, corporate, I'm leaving that too because I'm not happy and I get to shift.
Yes.
So
how that came about, I was searching, as I said, I was doing personal development. I was trying to be a good student, and I was listening to different voices. And I went to see Craig Valentine speak. And Craig Valentine is a very famous Toastmaster champion speaker. And I'd always wanted to see him speak. So about 15 minutes into his shtick, he looks at the audience and he asks us a question. Are you letting your good enough get in the way of your great? It was like I was punched in the stomach. I started to quietly cry, and then I realized this was not going to be a pretty girl cry. This was going to be an ugly girl cry. I left the ballroom. I missed his whole presentation. I go to my hotel room for 45 minutes. I am out on the bed, crying, sobbing, moaning. I then go sit at the desk, and you know how in hotels there's always a mirror in front of the desk. So I'm staring at my red eyes, my runny nose, my teary face, and I just thought, yes, I am letting my good enough get in the way of my great. And I realized then the major areas of my life, I had let my good enough with my marriage, I had let good enough with my career, I had let good enough with my health. And I just grabbed a paper and pencil and started writing some notes and just some random thoughts, which ultimately became the blueprint for a new way I wanted to live my life.
And it's the pieces that where things are showing up here is showing up everywhere. And that's the piece there. So with that shift, there, and it's like you can playing small or you know, just not holding back, unworthy, all of these pieces hold us back to our greatness. So what happened that you realized that you get to stand in your greatness after that moment, and what came to you, and your vision came to you, right? And what did that look like?
Well, I began to get more and more clear about who I wanted to be. And I made the decision that I was prepared to do the work. I don't think everybody's prepared to do the work because it's not easy. When I mean the work, I mean the self-work. Being able to really dig deep, ask the questions, figure yourself out. I did the work. It was uncomfortable quite often, sad quite often, empowering very often, but I really worked on myself to discover who I am, who I want to be. Have never been striving for perfect, never, that word doesn't even come into play with me. I just want to do my best to be my best. And I don't want to have any regrets. You know, I did feel that moment of regret on the bay. You know, here I am, I'm 50 years old, and how did I get here? And I remember thinking, I don't want to be 70 or 80 or 90 and look back and think, I didn't do it. You know, that's really been a driver for me of not having regret. And so the jumping out of the plane was just the beginning of tapping into that courage, doing the personal development work to figure myself out and giving myself permission to dream with no limits and create the clarity of who I want to be, who I want to attract, what do I want my career to look like, what do I want my health to be like, what is Mr. Next going to be like? I mean, everything. I just don't want to regret. And there's a great book in the quote from Taryn Rose, who's a marvelous shoe designer. And Taryn Rose says, fear regret more than failure. And that really has been my mantra. I will fear regret more than failure.
A segue, because the next thing I was going to bring up is failure. and that the fear of failure is one of the conditions that hold people back.
Yeah.
And that when you talk about failure, now failure actually is part of the process.
Yes, I agree 100%. So the first chapter in Outrageous Achievement, I hit them with the fears on purpose, because if we don't identify the fears that are keeping us back, you can be highly skilled, but if you're full of fear, you are just a highly skilled person who is stuck. So we have to take a look at the fears. So I talk about the 5 universal fears of rejection, success, judgment, change, and failure. So fear of failure, which many people are stuck through the fear of failure. My opinion, my personal beliefs are, if you're going to go on any journey, you're going to have failure. It's your perception of failure, right? It's not only your perception of failure, but how do you move through a failure, right? There's a famous Vince Lombardi quote. People, even if they don't know who Vince Lombardi is, right? He was a famous NFL football coach in the 40s. His quote, "It's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get back up." I shift that just a little and say, it's not whether you get knocked down, because if you're going to live, Maureen, if you're going to live, you are going to get knocked down. It's whether you get back up transformed. Ooh. And to me, that's really the key. It's whether we get back up and go over here, victim, poor me, everything happens to me, I can't do this, I never do this, I'm never going to try again. Or we get back up transformed over here. Well, you know what? That hurt a lot, but I'm keeping my dream. I'm keeping my confidence. I'm willing to do it again. I'm dusting myself off, and I'm going to continue to march in the direction of my dreams. So the 2 parts I've learned of getting back up transform is not only the pace you get back up, like how quickly you get back up, and you don't have to bounce right up immediately, but the pace of which you get back up, and the mindset you have once you stand back up. And I believe fear of failure can be overcome. Well, I think all the fears are made up. Not that they aren't real, but all our fears are made up. And so that should liberate us, because if we can make them up, we can unmake them up. So fear of failure, your perception of that will change the way you move through life.
And within that, you're also the other place, like limiting beliefs that are holding us back.
Yeah, well, the limiting beliefs, for so many of us, these limiting beliefs have been going around in our head ever since we were kids. When I think of fear of change, I really think of some child, saying something great. Well, you can tie in fear of judgment also, but go back to when we were a kid and we said something great. We said something great, like, I'm going to get the lead in the school play, or I'm going to win the gymnastics tournament, or I'm going to ride my bike to the top of the mountain, or I'm going to sell more Girl Scout cookies than anybody else. And whoever we said that to looked at us and said, no, you're not. Like, what makes you think you're going to do that? And then they start rationalizing. Boys don't do that. Girls don't do that. Nobody in our family has ever done that. Don't get bigger than your britches. Who do you think you are anyway? And as a kid, we took that in and started running a tape. So from then on, anytime we thought of doing something grand, that tape kept playing over and over again. Girls don't do that. Boys don't do that. No one in my family's ever done that. What makes me think I can do that? What are people going to think about that? And those fears, those limiting beliefs, keep more people stuck, playing small, paralyzed, not dreaming, not living the life they truly could, that I feel with all the zest and all the robustness and all the realness that they could be, but they're not aware of that tape that's playing. And bottom line for all of this, Maureen, is change begins with awareness. That's why we have to do the work.
Well, okay, so outrageous achievement. That's good. And I want to ask you then, so if someone is stuck, right? And they're saying, okay, how do I move forward? Where do they begin? First of all, get the book, because it's a roadmap too, from writing it down and moving forward. But a lot of people are stuck, right? Where do they begin, Leslie? Where do they begin?
Well, that's why the book has been purposefully written in a linear way. Like I weave my stories all through it, but I start with the fear. So we have to identify what fears might be keeping us stuck. I have a whole chapter on settling. Oh my goodness. And pervasive in our society. People are settling in so many areas of their lives. They're settling in their health, their relationships, in their career. They settle usually two reasons, I think. Number one, they're not aware that they're settling. And number two, they're settling because things are good enough. So if things are good enough, we stay stuck. So we got to have the conversation about settling so people can consider where in their life they may be settling so they can decide, hey, I'm going to continue to settle, or I'm going to make some choices and move through this. So then we move through the settling. Then we talk about the law of attraction. It's so powerful. When I take the stage, I tell people I believe in law of attraction the way I believe the world is round and that there is such a thing as gravity. That's how much I believe in the law of attraction. And I think a lot of people, if they haven't studied it or whatnot, may find it kind of woo-woo or different, or don't really give it the importance it deserves, or accept the power that it can truly deliver. And so I decided to take them through the history of the word law of attraction. I take them back to the 1800s. The first time it was ever in print was by a Russian author, a Russian female author. And from her book on the mystics, and then, of course, through James Allen, As a Man Thinketh, which if you haven't read As a Man Thinketh, everybody should read that book. And then I take them forward, and Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. And then we have Esther and Jerry Hicks, The Law of Attraction. And then we have Rhonda Byrne, who brought The Secret. And once Rhonda was on Oprah, the whole world started to hear about the law of attraction. Fundamentally, at its most easy definition, most simple definition, thoughts become things. What we think about creates our reality. And again, if we go back to the whole awareness point, if we're on autopilot, Maureen, and we are just being reactive all day long, if we don't take the time to stop and consider what we're thinking, how can we ever put the law of attraction into practice? And so
you're talking manifestation.
Total.
Okay.
My mother calls me the master manifester. You are absolutely manifesting. Who do you want to attract? What do you want to be? What doors do you want to open? How do you want your life to look? How do you want to feel? Like every part of your life right now, whether you believe it or not, is a reflection of your thoughts today and your thoughts, what they've been. And so once we realize that, we can say, hey, I'm going to start thinking differently. A couple of things I'll share. This is how much I believe in this. When I get up in the morning, first thing I do, I lay on my back, I get centered, and I just do a quick run through a gratitude list. Just quick, whatever comes to mind. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful mom's doing good. I'm grateful. My cat's probably sitting on my tummy, so I'm grateful for my cat. I'm grateful it's a sunny day. I'm grateful for my clients. I'm grateful for my business life. Just whatever comes to mind. When I get out of bed, when I come into the kitchen, I stand in the living room and I throw my arms up every morning and I say, something magical is going to happen today, which is so much better than going, well, today's going to be for shit. You know, like who knows what's going to happen today? You know what I mean? It's like something magical is going to happen today. And it just puts me in a more fun, positive mood. And that's out in my life. When I come here into my office, before I turn on the emails and start going to work, I say a little manifestation. I say a little prayer. I say the perfect people, situations, and opportunities are going to present themselves today, and I'm going to be open and aware to receive them. I do that every day. So I stay open on purpose. We miss opportunities. We miss people. We miss possibilities. We miss a lot because we're running on autopilot and we're not paying attention. We're not present.
We're not in the being. We're in the doing.
Exactly. That was part of the doing the work for me. When I first found personal development, I was 100% doing. I remember being in a seminar and the guy said to draw a line, make it a scale. And where do you see yourself? One side is being and one side is doing. And I literally was on the being dot. Like I couldn't even move into the scale. I mean, excuse me, I was on the doing dot. I couldn't even move into the scale because I didn't even understand what he meant about being. I'll never forget that. John Dulworth. That was a great seminar. And I had no concept of being the morning I showed up at that seminar. And I remember that. In fact, it was so impactful. So this whole idea of being present, I don't know if you can see my tattoo, but present. Okay, so be present, keep my heart open, and life is a gift.
Oh, wow. I love that.
I love that too. My mother, my funny mom, she goes like, why'd you put it on your arm where everyone can see it? Like, why didn't you put it on your back? I said, Mom, it's a reminder to stay present. If it was on my back, it couldn't remind me. So yeah, I love it. I love it a lot.
And you know, the piece here too is that the transformation is a journey and it's work, and it's something that is never finished. So wherever you are is right, because it's just becomes who and what you get to be and where you get to go.
Wherever you are is right. And then the question becomes, is this where you want to be? Wherever you are is right, because this is where we are. The question is this who I want to be? Is this what I want to be doing? Is this where I want to be? Is this the health I want to have? Is this the career I want to have? Is this the relationship I want to have? And the answers to those questions allow you to make the decision, which is why, again, as we continue to move through the book, I talk about a personal development practice to help them find joy and fun and simplicity in doing the work. And I work through some activities on what I call being bulletproof, like how to really, as you say, stand in your power and be bulletproof. I remember my editor heard me say the word bulletproof on stage and said, what does that really mean? And I tried to explain it. He said, you really should write about that. And being bulletproof turned into a whole chapter. And my definition for bulletproof is that we don't allow verbal attack or negativity to impact us. We become impervious, like Superman, Supergirl, right? So when you're bulletproof, nothing can impact our joy, our confidence, our courage. Like we can have situations to deal with, but it can't be taken from us. And so I go through a whole chapter of standing in that new idea of being bulletproof. It's powerful stuff. And it's a place I think we all deserve to be.
Well, again, it's about the ripple effect, right? And as the world stands in transformation, we get to change the world because we're all here with our gift that we've been given, and it's unique. And that's where we get to give for the world. So, and this is, your book is leading through generosity and standing for others. So I love that.
Yeah. Everything I've done, I really believe when I started my consulting business in 2012, I believe a main reason why I've been so successful is because I've always led with service. You know, it's one of my top 4 core values. You know, I've always made it service driven. And I truly believe that when we focus on others and making a difference, and when that is authentically delivered, everything works out the way it should.
And it simplifies things.
Yeah, agreed. You don't have to go back and second guess yourself or your actions. So, but this comes down to core values. You know, I have a whole section in the book on core values. I am a big core value gal. I do core value work twice a year. I'm always surprised how many well-educated adults, number one, don't know what a core value is and or don't know their personal core values. And I've come with all the study and the research and the writing and the blogging and the speaking on core values. I've come to believe that core values are drivers of behavior. They definitely play a role in, like, show me your core values and I will show you the life that you are living right now. So I'm always keen on my top core values. Like my top 2 aren't even 1 and 2, health and truth. Like these are my 2 top core values. Service is a core value. Abundance is a core value. Collaboration is a core value. Like when I am so keen on my core values, they will drive your behavior. I really think, like, take people who are working on getting the weight off. and have been through that roller coaster up and down, up and down. I think their core value of health has not really become a solid core value. When it really becomes a core value they believe in, it will drive them to act differently. Okay. In most cases, to eat better, to exercise more, to take better care of themselves, to have more compassion and belief that they can. I mean, it's not about being skinny, it's about being fit and strong and flexible. So core value work is quite powerful.
Leslie, it sounds like another book.
Oh, I could do a whole book on core values. Yeah, you're smart, Maureen. I could do a whole book on core values. Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, so we're into 2021. Hooray, right? You just got your shot like last week or something. So mom got her shot. So we're moving forward. So what's in 2020? What's on your plate? What you working on? How can people get to work with you and all of that?
I got a lot going on for 2021. I'm excited about that. We're going to start a community for the people who are enjoying outrageous achievement. They want to make it more personalized. They want to bring their own issues to the plate. They want to join a community of like-minded people who are reading and studying and wanting to live outrageous achievement. So we're going to be creating a membership around outrageous achievement. I mean, that wasn't my idea. That was people writing, oh, we want to come together on this. So we're working on that. I'm doing some very cool Instagram live interviews on the different aspects of the book. So I'd love for people to follow me on Instagram, leslie.zann. There's so many things going on. Wow. Let me see, new presentations. So people who, entrepreneurs, salespeople, companies looking for a keynote or speaker, whether it's virtual or live. I've taken the concepts of outrageous achievement and turned them into new, fresh presentations. So they make for powerful keynotes and powerful presentations. There's a lot going on, Maureen, and I'm very excited about everything that's happening. Humbled and grateful.
I'm grateful for you because already, just like right from the beginning, from the book to your website to wherever you are, you feel your power, you feel your energy, and it's what you're attracting, that you want to get to know you and be a part of this. So I love all of that, and I love who and what you do. So, okay, website, guys, lesliezann.com. There, you can find her in everywhere. It's most of her LinkedIn, her Instagram. You can find Leslie there. Outrageous Achievement is the book. Get it and start your journey. And you on Clubhouse yet, lady?
I am on Clubhouse. I've been invited to a lot of Clubhouse. And so, yes, I know it's time and priorities, Maureen. But I can see how it would be a great forum to bring like-minded, powerful people together. I've been invited to be a guest on many Clubhouse groups over the past month. And so, yes, I could definitely see the power of a Clubhouse forum for sure. And really, the most important thing I want to get out to the world is for people to realize that they truly can make a difference in their life. They do not have to settle where things are. There are always options and solutions, whether they are immediately available or accessible at that moment. And they truly can and have the courage to design, or I'll talk in different tense, you really do have the courage and the resources to live your best life. And that really is a gift you deserve to give yourself and a gift you deserve to give the world.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it with that. Outrageous achievement, Leslie Zann. And then you're even having the community that you don't need to go it alone. Lone wolfing doesn't work. And it's really a pleasure. And all right, everyone, that's a wrap. And thank you for coming on today. I truly loved it.
Loved it.
See everyone next week. Bye.